Hey guys, RC here, back with episode 6, Draft Day Sports College Basketball. I am going to try to get GM Games to put a link to another video in the description here. And that's a video by Cards, who also is a vlogger with Draft Day Sports College Football at GM Games. And he just did a tip video. And last episode, I said I was going to go look up some tips, and I watched that video. So we'll see today how much those tips really help. I hope Cards is right. But if it does work, I want you guys to be able to find that video and get that information for yourself. So let's start off on a couple of things. So first off, let's go into strategy. No, I take that back. Let's go to roster. All right, so let's sort our guys by overall ability. So the first thing he mentioned, and I'm not going to go into the full detail, but if you have a junior or a senior, he's already had 2 or 3 years of practice to learn the offense and defenses that you are going to run, right? And when you take over a team like we're in our first year, Charles Fountain is already established as what he is. I'm not going to change him in one season. So when I went into my strategy and I was plugging in these numbers thinking what I wanted, what I was not taking into account is what he is actually good at. So what I did is I went back and I looked at my 3 main guys, right? Now, Douglas has a broken foot, so he doesn't count. So you have to make a note here. This is what Charles Fountain is good at, his proficiency, his ability. This is out of 100% ability. So he can run the motion, the high post, the shuffle, and then he can run the 3 zone attacks on offense. He can play man-to-man, 2-3, 1-3-1 zones, full court press, and the 2-2-1 half court press. So basically what that means is if I try to run the 5 out like I was trying to do, he has no clue what to do. And he's a good outside shooter. He's a good passer. That may not allow him to make the most of his talents. Okay, so when you are looking at players that you have, you kind of have to adjust your offensive philosophy to what these guys can do. On the flip side, if you've got a freshman like Austin, you can see his proficiencies are very low because he's only had 1 year in the system, which was the preseason, right? So for him, I could start putting in additional offenses for him to learn, and he's going to be just as good in those next year. And by the time he's a junior and a senior, he'll be 60, 70, 80% like the last guy we looked at. So you kind of have to factor that in. So here's what I noticed. Because of the training that we ran this past off season, and evidently the training that they had earlier, all of these guys are pretty good at motion, high post, and shuffle. And they're good at man-to-man and the 2-3 zone. So what was I doing? Well, I certainly wasn't doing that. So we go back into strategy, motion, high post, shuffle. Now I'm adding in a little bit of Princeton, and we're going to practice that as well. But here's our new numbers that I just changed right before I started recording. And I also went in and tweaked all of our defensive setups to match the skills of the players that we've got. So that makes a lot of sense. Now, he said that if one of the other things is in here, if you read this, the more structured your offense will be. So the higher the percentage, the more structured. If you want your players to have more freedom to play closer to their styles. So you know what? I'm going to actually drop that to 10%. Because we've only got 6 games left. I'm going to let them kind of have the ball and go play playground ball if that's what they want to do. But if you have a good team, then you may want them to play more structured if they're really talented at what they do. The focus, basically, he suggested staying in between the 2 favors or balanced. Go heavy only if you're dominant on the inside. And if we look at our roster here, you can see, look at our inside. we only have 2 guys that are above average, and only one, and they're both at the same position. They're in the post. And then everybody else is above average on the outside shots. So, and we've got 2 guys that are really good with 8s, okay, including Brian Laws, who was not starting for us. We were starting McCray, who has good potential, but he's a junior. He's not going to reach that full potential. Laws is a freshman and already technically better at 2 stars. So that's kind of the idea behind strategy, at least according to the video. And that's what I have incorporated for today. The other thing you have to do is, remember, you're practicing during the season. Go into your practice plan, and first tip, always hit save changes or it will not save. So the good thing here is, when you set up your strategy here with your percentages, right? When you go into your practice, it shows you what your usage is, so we can practice on those things. Now, I've set 15% of our practice time to start developing the Princeton. And why would I want to run the Princeton? Well, if we remember from looking at this a while back, this attempts to get as many layups and easy shots as possible through a series of backdoor basket cuts. A good passing center is crucial, which means when we're recruiting centers, passing is one of those skills we're going to want to look at. Okay, so that is the strategy based on what we're seeing in the roster, where to find that information, and also how to set up your practice. The second tip that he gave in here is, like, if we're at the point of the season where we know we're not going to get fired, but we've kind of hung it up that we're not going to get anywhere. This is where if you want to change your offensive philosophy, if you want to shift in a different direction, even though we're using these percentages in our games, let's say we don't want to run motion going forward. Change that practice to a 5 or a 0 and add more to your Princeton, right? So that way you're working on it in practice in preparation for next year, getting that additional practice time this year. And again, make sure you click the save change or it will not save and it will not go into effect. All right, the other thing I did is I went into my depth chart. So I took my rosters and I decided who I wanted to play. And you remember in the first episode, I said I really wanted Laws to play, but then the AI was having McCray start. And McCray has not done badly. I mean, he's got, 21 starts, 9.3 points a game, 2.4 assists, so not the greatest. So I want Laws to play the rest of the season. McCray's a junior. Laws is my better prospect long-term. He's only a freshman. I want him to get playing time. All right, so, we're looking at our better players, and you can see how bad a lot of our bench guys are. And then we kind of played around with this earlier before the first games. If you hit AI suggest all, it does your depth chart and your minutes. But if you choose your rotation, your lineup, and basically your first 5 are your 5 starters in order, point, 2, small forward, number 4, and center. And then also the priority, you want your backup players. So McCray initially, when I switched him with Laws, was down here, and I had to move him up. And so we've got McCray, Laster, Butler, Neslin, and then Wilder is our sophomore center that's actually pretty good. So, in fact, I'm going to move him there. And so what you do is, if you set your lineup, then have the AI suggest the matrix, it will only do the minutes. It'll set up your minutes based on your depth chart. So these are the guys we're going to play with down the stretch. So hopefully this works. Hopefully it's helpful to you guys, at least understanding a little bit. I've learned a little bit from it. So, and the thing is also, if you want to add something to, like if I click, you have to click it. So point guard, and then you click in a box. and that's how you assign it. But you have to pick the position that you want and then click in there if you're going to shift it around yourself. I believe we're going to take, I'm going to add him as a 2-guard there and a 2-guard there. And do I have another 2-guard? Let's get him in, because basically what I want him on the floor for more minutes at a stretch. You know, I mean, if you're only, like this guy, if you're only on the floor for 2 minutes, what are you really going to do? Now, this guy's only coming in to basically give him 2 more minutes of rest. That's it. You know, because 2 minutes of rest here is not going to do anything for you. Actually, you know what? And point guard. So I'm going to put him there. And then we've got a 2-guard here and there. Let's do that. So we'll give him some spot minutes. All right, well, let's get into that and see how it works. I'm excited to see if it does anything. It may or may not. So just a reminder, taking a look at the standings, we are sitting 5-7 overall, 9-14 overall, 5-7 in the conference, and we need 10 wins to reach our season goal, and they want us to finish in the top 3. So we've got a 3-year deal, probably won't get fired this year, but I'd like to at least get one of the 2 goals. You don't want to miss them all, right? All right, so let's get to the next game, and I'll see you guys back here on game day. All right, we're back for game day. We do have a couple of emails to check out. Norton's semifinalists, so they took the top 30. They've dropped it to the final 20 candidates for the Player of the Year. None of our guys in the mix, of course. All right, I'm kind of excited about today, man. Come on, fingers crossed. 8-point loss. Now they are 12. They were 11-12, a little bit better than us on paper. So, but still, let's take a look at the box score. We lost by less than 10. All right, they doubled us up in the paint. Neither one of us had many second chance points. All right, Skipper, 6 boards for the point for 6. And I do wish this stayed in the same point guard, shooting guard, small forward. And, you know, there's, instead of being all mixed up, you know, that's something I think they could code in. And I'm going to suggest that to Gary. 24 points, however, for Laws, the freshman point guard. Only 2 assists, 5 assists for Fountain, 3 points, 8 points for Austin with 6 boards, and not a whole lot off the bench. Neslin did have 6 points, but Laws showing a lot of ability. 1 of 6 from the floor, 3 of 7, 1 of 7. All right, well, you know, moral victory maybe? Maybe. All right, let's get up to the next game. All right, game day. We are playing Colgate. They're 12-13, 8-5 in the league. Fingers crossed. Oh, that's a brutal loss. 1 point. We're looking much more competitive, I've got to say that, right? Much more competitive. Do we take a moral victory from that? No second chance points for either team. We actually outdid them on the fast break. Gave up more points in the paint. 18 points for Austin. 7 boards, 7 points for Fountain. And McCray got a start here. Laws was on the bench. No personal fouls. Okay. So let's go look at our depth chart. Why did it do that? That's odd. I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with that at all. All right, so I am going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want him over Hurd. Skipper, I want him in at the 4. And then Laster, we're going to move up behind McCray. And then, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and store it so it's saved. Okay. That's interesting. I want to watch and see if it does that again. All right, we'll be back on game day, and I think we'll check that depth chart before we start playing. All right, we are back. So a couple of things. Let's check our emails. Fine. Let's check our depth chart. All right, it's still in place. So let's sim the day. Oh my God. 36-point loss. Okay, that didn't work out well. That did not work out well at all. 21 points for Austin, 6 boards, 4 points, 2 assists for Fountain, for Laws. Wow. All right, I'm going to go back in here, and I think we're going to switch back to favoring the outside. And let's raise that back to 35%. All right, let's get to the next match, and then we'll check again for those depth charts. Because, yeah, if it's not holding depth charts, I think that's a problem. And storing does not seem to be the same as saving it, like your practice that we looked at earlier in this episode. Man, when we went 3-1, I was not thinking that we were going to have a hard time reaching 10 wins on the season. Oh my God. All right, strategy. All right, depth chart. It's lost it again. All right, now I can, and it's not even restoring the lineup. Now he's still listed as the starter, but I bet he doesn't start. Let's look and find out, because that's got to be a bug, and I will be reporting that today. All right, we're playing Army. Remember, they had not won a road game all year, and they continue that streak, thankfully, and it's win number 10. We got 10 wins. Woo! That's awesome. Thank goodness. All right, now I want to go into that box score. Skipper. Laws still started the game. 19 points, 6 assists. That's his best game. 13-9 for Austin, 11-6 for Welch. Skipper had 8 points, 13 boards. That's huge. Brian Laws, player of the game. All right, that's interesting. All right, let's go to our dashboard. How many games we got left? 2 games left. Job security still 100%. We've won our 10 games, but we are in last place. Oh, it's brutal. Brutal. All right, game day. Bucknell. Only 9 points, though, so, we've at least been semi-competitive, right? Maybe better than we were in the games leading up in previous episodes. Now, McCray is back into the lineup this one, so let's go back to let's finish looking at here. 14 points for Fountain. Skipper's back on the bench. Laws is back on the bench. Depth chart. And yes, it's overwritten everything. So I guess we're going to have to do that every flipping game. The only other thing is... Oh. You got to turn those off, man. That's what it was. So not a bug, user error. I just overlooked that. So if you want this computer, the AI, to manage That's where you do all that at. Okay. That's on me. That's on me. All right, we do have an email post-game incident report. Haven't had one of those. Brian Law's attitude. Mouthing off about McCray. Okay, so let's see. So let's look at Laws and let's contact the player. All right, how do I hang up? I guess we just close it out, huh? And then who was he? He was talking to McCray. Let's contact him. All right, so he doesn't want, there's no way to end the call like in recruiting, so I guess you just have to close that out. All right, so let's go back to strategy. Not strategy, depth. All right, restore the lineup the way it was. 28 points a game. Skipper. Okay, that's what I want. I don't know if it will, I don't know if you have to reorganize it there or not, but we'll find out. We'll find out the hard way. We'll get to the next match. Let's just double check our depth chart. Laws and Skipper should be starting, so let's give it a whirl. Final match, home against Holy Cross. They're 16-12, 8-9 in the league, in the conference. Oh man, that would have been a stunning upset. So close. So close. We played well, and they were a team I thought would blow us out. Skipper, yes. Fountain, Laws. Okay. So it gave us the players that I wanted. So that's good. Let's take a look at Laws. And I wonder, maybe not Laws. Let's see if I had, I was going to look and see if any of the players had changed here. All right, well, that's disappointing. So we finished last, but we do win 10 games. All right, let's take a look at points. So center Chris Austin, 11 points, 8.8 for Fountain, the senior 2-guard. Douglas, we missed him after he got hurt with the broken foot, and unfortunately he's a senior as well. Nathan McCray will be back, 8.2. He might be back. Aaron Welch, 6'9". Skipper, 5.6. Laws at 5. How about assist? 2.4. McCray, 2.4. Laws, 1.4. So he needs to get better. Rebounds, total rebounds, there we are. 6.7 for Austin, 5 for Welch. Nothing amazing. Nothing amazing. Basic stats, shooting stats. All right, Austin looks like he may have only missed one shot all year from 2-point range. Unfortunately, I don't think we tried all that many. 0 to 3. Oh, there we go. Okay, 80%, 70, 56% for Skipper. And 3 points, 61% for Laws. Douglas, 39, Neslin, 38. 61%, really. 1 for 1, 3 for 4, 12 for 18 from the top of the key. 3 for 8, and he never took a shot. He doesn't shoot well from this right side at all. 38%. So he's more of a center up to the left side guy. But he can hit those mid-rangers as well. All right, well, interesting. Interesting. All right, let's look at the key date. It's March 4th. Conference tournament. All right, so let's go ahead and sim the day. And I don't know if that's a conference tournament or what. All right, a couple of emails. All right, we already looked at that one. None of our guys are leaving. There's your final 10 for Player of the Year. Tournaments. I don't see conference tournaments in there. Do you? Key dates. March 5th. All right, that's the conference tournament. I don't even know if we're in the conference tournament. It's not showing up. Let's look at our dashboard, see if a game has popped up. All right, we are in the tournament, Holy Cross. So, all right. Well, there we are. So let's sim to the date. All right. First round matchup, we're playing Holy Cross. 10-point loss. Fountain, 16 points. Laws had a good game. Skipper, only 2 points, 1 of 6 from the floor. And we are favoring outside, but outside is mid-range and 3-pointers. Laws did take 3 10-pointers, 30%. But he's 33% from total. So he was 3 for 8. So he was only about 40%. So I guess that does prove the adage that, 35%, you're better off taking threes all game. The Golden State Warrior philosophy. All right, well, we do get eliminated there. So let's get to, let's see, this will be the final 8, final 4. That should be down to the championship game for the league. So we'll be back for that and just look at the scores here in just a minute. So Colgate beat Lafayette, high scoring affair. Bucknell gets past Holy Cross. Army shuts down American. They won at home. And Boston over Loyola. Army loses on the road to Bucknell. Colgate advances. So it's going to be Bucknell and Colgate in the conference championship game. And Bucknell wins it pretty handily, 81-68. All right, inbox. Nothing there for us. Let's look at key dates. Today is March 10th. So March 12th is the selection show. So we're just going to sim to the postseason. Maybe it wouldn't let me pass that date. Having a little bit of an issue getting it figured out there. An alert. The brackets are set. Well, we're not in it, so, I guess we can go ahead and watch. What did it say? Click the advance option to go to the selection show. Well, I must have hit the wrong thing. I bet it was right there. Bet it was right there. I didn't notice an email, though, when I got that. Fair enough. And I don't see an advance anywhere else. Oh, there it is. It was up at the top. Wolverine Studios, sponsors of this year's selection show. We're going to skip the show because I don't need to see it. And then what we can do is we can go into the tournaments and we can check the NCAA tournament. I can't click on that for anything. No? Hello? Well, let's see. Polls and media. All right, Kentucky goes undefeated. 35-0 this season. Louisville, 31-3, finishes number 2. They go unbeaten in their conference. Michigan State wins the Big Ten. Kansas at number 4. Duke at number 5. Rounding out the top 10, Florida Gonzaga, the Tar Heels. San Diego State making an appearance. And Xavier. Any surprise teams in there? I mean, Not really. Those teams are, Butler, ugh. Marquette. That's kind of surprising. Georgetown. Good to see them back up in relevance. Texas Arlington. UTA. Wow. Virginia VCU. Ole Miss BYU. Okay. Well, I guess they don't show that. We haven't had the award winners or anything yet. So what I'm going to do is we'll end the episode here. I will come back and do a pre-recording to intro the next episode. And what we'll do is we'll catch up on the tournament winner, the award winners, and all of that good stuff. And we should also be into our season as well to get the second season kicked off. So we do bid farewell to a few seniors from the club. Let's see, stats, because it should show juniors, right? That's, unfortunately, I can't get it to do by class. But Charles Fountain will be leaving, our starting two guard. Matt Smith, a backup small forward. Malik Butler, a reserve 4. Jerry Douglas, our starting 4, but broke his foot, missed most of the season. So those are the guys that we are going to be missing. We do have 2 new players in. We have not lost on Brett Nolan yet, but we are still just number 4 on his list. So we're going to scout live. I think he's going to reject us. He won't even come visit and he's interested. That is crazy. You know what? I'm gonna bail on him. Peterson. I'm gonna bail on you. I'm gonna offer you. And we're gonna go with that. I mean, it can't be any worse, right? But he has not taken a visit all year, and he's interested. And he's never gotten higher than 4. I don't think we were going to get him. So cut bait, move on. Guys, hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you for the season wrap up and the start of next season. Have a good one. Bye.